It's about 7:20 in the morning and we've just finished the check-in procedure to get into the Pilansberg. And it's great to be back here, especially on this lovely morning, this sort of dull, diffuse light I've always talked about enjoying a lot. And the reason I like it is because we can photograph longer into the day, and that's important in Africa because the sun rises so quickly at these latitudes. We only get a few minutes of golden light. It's not like it's hanging in the air in the northern hemisphere in somewhere like Finland for hours at a time. 15-20 minutes, bang, it's over, the light's gone. But with diffuse light like this, you get lovely soft light, lovely soft shadows, and sometimes it's warm as the sun punches through in places. And that's what I'm looking for here. But this place has been burnt to smithereens. It's absolutely torched due to dry conditions in the winter. So I don't know what we're gonna see, but it's exciting just to be back. And I've got a Waterbuck Ram on a slope here, and he's got a lovely diffused hillside for a background on the other side of the valley. But like all annoying antelope, he doesn't want to pop his head up and give me a look with his ears pricked. I'm waiting a little bit. He's grazing on this fresh, succulent green grass that's come up after the burn over the winter. And he's wandered into a little bit more of a cluttered area, unfortunately. But yeah, now he's gone further into the bushes. But if he put his head up where I wanted him to, he would have made quite a nice shot, I think. That's the difficulty with wildlife. They don't do what you want them to do. We just stopped because there's been quite a commotion with some lapwings bombing something over in that direction. And it's always worth stopping to look at that kind of thing because you never know what it might be. They're a really good indicator in the bush that something is not quite right. It could be a caracal walking along, a mongoose, something bigger like a jackal, or even a bigger cat walking through, or a bird of prey, for instance. In this case, though, it was something pretty innocuous. It was a pied crow that was trying to raid their nesting site. But that kind of sign can be really important to identify rarities and animals and predators that might be wandering along through the grasses and the bushes of the African plains. We've just come across some rhinos, and they've all stood up because I've turned around, sadly, and now I'm talking. So I'm going to keep my voice down as I maneuver into position. I want to shoot them out this window where I've got the GoPro, the door mount, so that I can get some nice steady shots and maybe some video for you of these beautiful, rare white rhino. I've got the 7D Mark II on here on a 400 lens, and it's a bit tight. I should be able to get some portraits with a head. Just flicking their ears back and forth to look at me as I talk. Good hearing, good smell, not great eyesight. 7 of them lying on the ground. going to move to a larger frame camera for these guys. 70 is just too tight. Use the 5D Mark III. With a big collection of animals like this, big animals, and a number of them, they're called a crash of rhinos. It's the collective noun. But it's really hard to frame them. And they're sleeping and they're not really doing much. So it's nice to get a shot of these guys in their environment. And without a wide angle lens or a zoom, it can be a little bit tricky. But I really want that soft, beautiful bokeh that's given by this 400 f2.8. So I've gone for a little bit of an experimental panorama shot of these guys, and I quite like making wildlife panoramas. I think they can be quite attractive. Nice, big, detailed photographs. And the way you take them is you stick your camera into portrait mode, manually expose, focus on one of the animals in the scene, take the shot of it, and then take a sequence of other shots along a parallel, perhaps 3 rows high. And that, when you stitch it together, can make for some good shots, but I won't know until I get home later and stitch them together whether I'm actually going to show it to you guys. Well, this is exciting. We've stumbled into a cheetah resting under a tree on the side of a sort of slope near a watercourse we've just crossed. It's beautifully quiet here. He's sort of scanning around from the deep grass. It's not really too hot with this overcast. Relatively cool and dry. Cats will move around in these conditions, particularly daylight hunting cats like cheetahs. Fiona says there's a jackal on the right, and that probably means there's a kill around here. And the cheetah's on it, probably satiated for the moment. Ah, he's there. Thank you, I see him. Head up. The wind's blowing from the cheetah to the jackal, and I think the jackal might be trying to eat a little bit. And there's a bit of interaction going on with this jackal and this cheetah. The jackal sprinted out across in front of us when he saw the cheetah get up, so they're aware of each other, definitely. Cheetah's wandering past me. I can't turn back far enough to take a shot. He's going back into the watercourse. We're going to try and follow. You can hear the guinea fowl sounding off in the background. As they see the cheetah, they're aware of it. Walking down the road here. As I complete my 25-point turn. Okay, so he's walking down the road in front of us. I've changed lenses, I've de-teleconverted. about 20 meters behind the cheetah who's wandering down the road looking back at me. And this is the difficulty with having a windscreen. You know, you can't photograph straight out the front. That's why those open safari vehicles are actually quite nice. So he's wandering off to the left of the road into the grass, and I might be able to come up to him on the left if I'm lucky, hopefully without frightening him, and then photograph back as he walks towards us. He's out the left here, about 9 o'clock, about 6 meters into the grass. Let's get the engine off, get the vibrations down, camera out. Hopefully we'll be able to snap 1 or 2 shots as he comes past. Wing mirror in. Well, Cheetah's still walking parallel to the road. A bit too distant to photograph currently. And I can hear the alarm calls. Various creatures off to my left up the hill as they spot him in this dell, wandering through the grasses. The cheetah went out into this thick bush on the right here, and I think we've probably lost it. Probably went to lay up for the day or have a drink or something like that. But it seemed very alert walking around. I guess you have to be in this thick grass in this environment. You know, there's all sorts of predators out there that you might run into or stumble into. But I think we've lost him. And it just goes to show you've got to come along at the right time to see these animals. It was sheer fluke that we saw him get up, chase the jackal, probably decide to leave whatever remnants of a kill it might have been sitting on. Big fat stomach on this animal, just eaten clearly, and then wander off into the grasslands. And we got a few shots of it. I hope we got some videos of it. I hope I got some shots of it because I made some terrible mistakes in that little scenario there. I thought the guy was going to stick around. I changed to a tighter lens, and then he got up and chased the jackal. I missed that action because I didn't have enough space around the frame to follow it. If I'd stuck with the 5D3 on the 400-2.8, I probably would have got some nice shots. Let's hope I got some anyway, but that's life. That's wildlife photography. That's what happens out here. You make a call, sometimes you get it wrong. You just hope it isn't on a really unique set of circumstances or a unique species. Always worth going back to a kill to see what else is happening there. So we went back to where we thought the cheetah had killed, and we saw a pied crow in the tree. And obviously I pulled over to the side of the road. I wanted to see what was going on. And I got my binoculars out to try and see if I could find this jackal that was in the deep grasses there. And of course at that particular moment the jackal broke cover without me seeing it. Fiona saw it and said, well, he's coming. And I had to reach for the camera and try and get a grab shot. And I didn't get him on the right side of the car. It's been a catalogue of disasters. And unfortunately this time it meant something because it was actually quite an interesting and rare sighting. This jackal broke from cover in front of the car, came from the right, came right across the front and then off to the left with the head of a baby impala in its jaws. Quite a remarkable thing to see. And I did snap a few shots, grab shots out the left window, but nothing with the jackal facing me. So seriously, seriously exciting, but also disappointing return to the kill. Got a lovely breeding herd of elephants out the right hand window. Just such a shame it's harsh light. About 1:30 in the afternoon, 2 in the afternoon at the moment, really harsh light. But there's a bit of a side light going on, and that gives me an opportunity to use the polarizing filter. And if I expose these guys a little bit to the right, so I'm pulling up those shadows a bit, I think I've got a chance to get something out of these photos, because the polarizer's cutting out the reflections, and then that exposure to the right might give me a high key black and white, or quite a nice color shot as well. I'm hopeful maybe I've got a shot or two out of this herd marching from left to right across the landscape.